Mr. Neary, you're now listening to my second video. Alright, right now I'm going to explain to you the law of demand. The law of demand says that a higher price for a good or service, all other things being equal, leads people to demand a smaller quantity of that good or service. You can clearly see that in this graph. This graph shows, for example, an increase in price at 125 to 150. The quantity demanded goes from 8.9 to 8.1. You can see that in this graph too. This is because either the income effect or the substitution effect. But when there's a decrease in price and there's an increase in demand, you can see here there's a rightward shift. At $2, it goes from 7.1 in 2002 to 9 in 2006. We're talking to you about the supply curve and the law of supply. Alright, first I'm going to explain the law of supply. The law of supply is an economic theory which states that all else equal, an increase of price results in an increase in quantity supplied. In other words, there is a direct relationship between price and quantity. As you can see here, there is a decrease in supply as price increases. Decreases. At $2, the quantity of coffee being supplied is at 11.6, whereas at $1.75, it is at 11.5. We can see an increase here on this graph. This graph, the entry of Vietnam into the coffee bean business generated an increase in supply. So as you see, when it was at $2 after the entry, it was at $2 and at 11.6, but after the entry, it was at 13.9. So there is an increase in supply. That is the supply curve and the law of supply. Now I'm going to be talking about how if there is an increase in demand, how it would impact equilibrium, the price, and the quantity. Alright, when there is an increase in demand, a rightward shift in the demand curve, the market is no longer at an equilibrium. A shortage occurs because the quantity demanded exceeds the quantity supplied. So therefore, the price rises and generates an increase in the quantity supplied. An upward movement along the supply curve and a new equilibrium is now established. Alright, now I'm going to be describing the relationship between equilibrium price and an effective price floor. This graph shows that the government imposes a price ceiling limiting the rents to price below the equilibrium price. Say it's no more than $800. This graph shows the effect of the price ceiling represented by the line at $800. At the enforced rental rate of $800, landlords have less than an initiative to offer apartments, so they won't be willing to supply as many as they would at the equilibrium rate of $1,000. They will choose point A and on the supply curve offering only 1.8 million apartments for the rent. That is 200,000 fewer than the unregulated market. At the same time, more people will want to rent apartments at price at $800 than at the equilibrium price of $1,000. As shown in price B on the demand curve, at a monthly rent of $800, the quantity of apartments demanded rises to 2.2 million. That is 200,000 more than the unregulated market and 400,000 more than the actually available at that price at $800. So, so now there is a persistent shortage of the rental housing at that price. 400,000 more people want to rent than able to find apartments. That is the effects of a price ceiling. Now I'm going to be describing a price floor. Sometimes the government intervenes to push market prices up instead of down, and they instill floors. This is widely used in agriculture to help the income of farmers. A price floor, unfortunately, has disastrous effects. It usually, most often, results in a surplus because it reduces the quantity of butter demanded and increases the butter supply, resulting in a 3 million pounds of butter surplus. The surplus results in inefficient resource allocation, low quantity, wasted resources, and a black market. That is the disastrous effects of a price floor.